program or small increase for workers. Police department requests for hiring 3 additional part-time police officers. These positions should be mandatory weekends to be as needed basis. The police department have 4 full-time officers and 4 part-time officers on payroll. Full-time officers plus 40 hours, 160 hours a week. 7 weeks, 168 hours. We need a cover for 8 hours a shift. We currently have 4 part-time officers who currently work at least 8 hours a week. There is a need to split shifts for full-time officers. Overtime should not take place unless there is a special event or an emergency. These items are being looked into by the EIP program. The police department currently uses LiveScan and Microscope for scanning, and the annual cost is $950. The Pennsylvania State Police have a free service the borough can use and save the taxpayers the unnecessary costs. A local survey was done, and for the most part, the PSA, Pennsylvania State Police, is what the local departments use. This gives you some information on LiveScan. Please note, equipment purchased for grant funds cannot be disposed of without going to proper channels. Fingerprint machine was disposed of, but no one knows what happened to it. Appointing a new chief for the host company number 1, A.J. Jones. Annual appoint Mary Sloba as borough secretary. Treasurer starting March 1st, 2019, annual pay of $5,000 a year, based on a monthly base. Usually got in there. Appointing Rose Calaruso as the borough manager. Have Jim Dragon perform the borough paving cuts permits to lower additional revenue for the borough. Will need to do an amendment to the current ordinance removing Penn Eastern's responsibility of paving cuts to the borough. Penn Eastern is still served as the borough's engineers.
Well, we talked about it last meeting, and Jim's come up and talked about it today.
Jim's here to talk about it. Hi, Jim.
Yeah, how you doing?
Question?
Appoint,
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
have Jim, approve Roseanne Calaruso to pay the borough monthly reoccurrence bill through web bill pay. This is a free service offered by Prudential Bank. This will save the borough the cost of checks, stamps, and envelopes, preventing any payments from occurring with late rates to a payment received late in the mail.
I didn't do any savings, because I didn't have to pull a check, so it goes to $1,000 a year in savings.
Thank you, Roseanne. Annual savings would be roughly $1,000, Roseanne said. Conduct a paper shredding event for the borough residents to be held September the 12th, 2019 at Pettibone Park from 4 to 7. The borough gets full reimbursements up to $2,000 cost per year. Last year was $600 and was fully reimbursed by the county. Approve a handicap space in front of 363 Monument Avenue. Residents will pay the cost. Approve Brian Weber to use the Pettibone Park for his daughter's first birthday party. He would like to place a tent on the premises. He wrote a letter stating he would take full responsibility for any damages. Party to take place July the 20th, 2019. Approve a draw number 1 from Flack Little League grant to pay the irrigation work done.
Chad, as part of that, we have to approve a cooperation agreement with the Little League prior to being able to do the draw, which this is here, and you can talk a little bit about that.
All right. Approve Rosanna Calaruso to work with Darren Flush on RFPs for engineering for the Office of Communication Development Grant for the borough. West Wyoming contract contract is June 20th for the final day for the DPW department.
April 20th.
April 20th, I'm sorry. Jim needs to know the final date, that's it, Jim, the 20th.
You decided that it's April
Yes, sir.
20th? All right.
Hold on.
Technically the 24th.
24th?
There's just some
April-
things, we have to close out some things before April 20th to switch back over to them, but we'll still do services on that date.
April 24th.
Okay, all right. As long as I know it's a definite termination, that's good.
Thank you, Jim. Approved drawing number 1 from Blackfield Grand, okay, we agree. Approve Roseanne Calaroso to work with, I got, geez, I'm going through that.
Down the line.
Yeah. Chris Colley has been communicating with Lars for the grants in process awarded to the borough. Update us on the current, award grant. Upgrade the current application submitted. Borough 2019, 2020, and 21st, capital needs, borough engineer needs to be included. Grant opportunities to be assisted in funding capital needs. The lease payment for the 2 police vehicles, Ford Expert, for Jim Ross, DECD. This is not an item that was budgeted for 2019. Payment of $20,695.47 was due on 2/18/2018. I've been working with Joe O'Brien from Universe Capitals for the last 2 weeks. He called me this morning with an option. He reached out to the dealership for the vehicles were purchased from the New Holland Group, Travis Buzz, and Fleet Government Management. Resale of the market vehicle is 10,000. Mileage on the vehicle last week was 5,212 miles. Resale of the vehicle is marked at $12,000 net. Mileage from last week is 32,203 miles. At the time, we cannot pay off the $19,695. We had the option of turning one vehicle and paying only half the balance of $9,847. The other vehicle will go back to the dealer, will be used to pay off the remaining balance to Universe. Joint takes looking at margin, which is due from the lease contract, the exceed was given back to the borough. Depending on which vehicle gets turned in, we need to receive as little as $152 on the market for $2,152 on the unmarket. A motion we made to make an tentative agenda. Any questions? I know it's a lot, but
This time, why don't we ask, so we have people who need to discuss something today?
Jim, would you like to?
I mean, I really don't have anything to discuss. I just feel that we should be doing our own pave cut inspections instead of having an outside contractor, which is Penn Eastern, getting paid by the utilities when we're capable of doing that here and having the borough get that money from the utilities coming into our account.
So you would do it, the borough would do it?
Yeah, between me and the Public Works Department, it happens in other towns, Pittston City does it, they do their own inspections through the Public Works. So instead of having Penn Eastern as a contractor do it, just do it in-house. My guys do it, or we do it. We're here all the time to police it anyhow, so.
You can submit for payment to,
We already do that. We already do that here. Daryl submits the invoice to Roseanne and she submits it to the utility. So we're already submitting that here. It's just, we would do the inspections as far as the Public Works instead of Penn Eastern.
okay.
But there's a couple things in the ordinance that would need to be just changed. A couple wording, you know.
Yeah, well, it was changed, so we just have to get it. Council will have to read the motion or read the ordinance and that was in a month or 2 months.
We have to do the first reading, wait 30 days, and then do the second reading.
Okay.
We'd have to advertise it, that it's available for review in the borough building.
Okay.
Same as what we did with the regard to,
Budget, budget.
sewer fee,
Oh, okay.
or sewer fund. Could you send me the ordinance? I can have it for you guys for next month to take a look at.
Would you like to have, Penn Eastern talk about
Darrell, is there something you would like to add?
say anything
to
about
No,
that?
that's fine, that's a prerogative, and I'll help you make those changes, I know where they have to be made.
Thank you.
You know, and what I would do, instead of just taking where it says, shall be done by the borough engineer, I would leave that in and say, by the borough engineer or the public works department as determined by the borough manager. Just in case he gets too busy in his other work,
Right.
and might need us on a large project or something like
A
that.
lot of the wording is already there, it already says engineer or street commissioner.
There's like 2 or 3 spots.
There's
right?
just a couple spots that just need to be changed. The most of it is, it's either or, so it's already there, it's just very few little spots.
Yeah, I'll help you, Lars, I can send you that,
Okay.
ordinance also,
Okay,
and highlight it where it needs to be done.
thank you. You'll email it to me, Darrell?
Sure.
Thank you. Chris, you want to come up and tell us about Ashburn?
I was speaking to Lars back and forth, giving an update on the outstanding grants that you have, and as well as upcoming grant applications. So here's what we have outstanding in the borough right now. We have, most recently, it was Luzerne County CDBG, this was the capital improvement grant. That was awarded to you on November 13th of last year in the amount of $434,550. Okay? And that was for work that was going to be, and Darrell, please correct me if I'm wrong on this. This was going to be a mill, a pave, and 88 ramps on Dorrance Avenue from 7th to 8th Street, and then Susquehanna Avenue from 8th to 1st Street.
So what do we need to do for the next phase of that?
I talked to the county today. You guys have already signed what's called a grant agreement / cooperation agreement. The money comes from HUD. HUD may require a whole new different agreement. So Roseanne, if you see a new agreement coming across your desk, which is forwarded back and forth. Okay. So really, the next step is, I believe you have to advertise, have an RFP out there, according to HUD, for your engineer to start the whole process, the design process.
So will you and Darrell be coordinating to draft up the RFP next?
Yeah, that's on the agenda.
That's on your agenda now.
That is amazing.
Okay.
I'll go along with that work session.
We just can't do anything. My advice is not to go into any contract that states anything until we formally hear from the county as to whether the existing agreement, which is called a cooperation agreement that you have right now, or whether HUD is going to require a whole different type of agreement. Okay? The second one, grant that's out there right now, that was an LSA, it's an LSA, that was awarded on July 21st of 17 in the amount of $500,000. And that was described in the application as a multi-municipality sanitary / stormwater sewer replacement project. And this was back in when Exeter, Wyoming, and West Pittston, that's why multi-municipality, were all applying together. Each municipality over a 3-year period received $500,000. Okay. That grant expires on June 30th of 2020. You can't ask for an extension on that. It's my understanding that Penn Eastern is they've completed the design stage. It's currently within PennDOT, and obviously dependent upon PennDOT's approval, the time of Wyndham's approval, that you would kick off construction in the summer, if all goes well. Okay?
What's the scope of work for the streets on that? Is that the one that you're talking about down the Ave?
Miami Avenue from 8th to 1st.
Okay. So what's the next, when will be the next item, or when will be the next time that the borough council needs to be involved in this?
When we receive a PennDOT permit, we'll be going out for bid, and then we'll have to open up the bids, construction bids. So that won't be till June, July this summer months of this year.
Do you have the bids, or do you have the RFP already worked up?
We have our design done already, and then it's independent for approval.
Okay.
That's different in regards to the borough engineer on that end. Borough engineer already has an existing contract with the borough.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a little bit different from the source of funds. The next step that is, we're working with Roseanne for the reimbursement of around $10,000 of Penn Eastern bills through the LSA. Okay. And the total dollar value of that project, Daryl, is expected to be plus
Plus
or minus,
55,000 for engineering.
and the total dollar value of the entire project.
$500,000. Oh,
The
the
entire
project, it might be about 800,000.
It's around $800,000, of which you're gonna get funding for about you're gonna get $500,000 from the LSA. So I'm assuming the balance is gonna be coming from your sewer fund. Okay.
We don't even have to run $1,000 on the sewer fund, do we? What will leave it left?
They wanted him and cheese, 300,000, and they want to do it. So we can't put him and cheese at 139,000. We only put 247,000.
So it'll leave us with under 200K in the sewer full account?
Yes, around there. Yeah, especially because we're really not gonna get anything more since they lowered the, when you lower the sewer, we're not gonna really generate much income.
We'll generate it from the businesses, but not the residents.
Right, I'm just, it's gonna be a difference in what we're gonna generate, so we can't,
Well, so we'll be using it for what it's for, so that at least,
right,
Okay.
just hopefully nothing else goes wrong.
The next grant application coming up is what's called the CFA multi-award. And that's going to be due by end of July. We apply for you guys every year. It's very competitive. The use of funds are for, one of the use of funds is for streetscape enhancements, curbing, sidewalks, and that sort of thing. We try to couple it with municipalities like you guys that are, that have the sewer needs. And they'll obviously do the infrastructure first, and then couple it back, from a restoration point of view. Okay? But that's totally up to the municipality for what they want to use, if they want to apply for the grant. This is a no-match grant, okay? So this would be dependent upon the cost of the project, dependent upon the grant received. Obviously, you would have to dictate your cost and you decide your project here. If you would like to get the application in, my advice is, I think you have an April meeting, April 8th. That would give you a couple months of discussion. If you want to apply, what you want to apply, and we can take it from there. Okay? The next thing is, well, I spoke to Lars about the Wyoming Library. And the Wyoming Library would like to apply for what's called the Keystone Grant Library. They have needs of around $42,000, of which is mechanical needs, furnace, ADA needs as well. It's a 50% match where they're taking care of everything. They're looking to the municipality to be what's called a conduit. Most grants require a conduit for it. The only thing, I've done the Keystone grants before, and I just spoke to Colleen. One of the things that there's a requirement that the municipality be a conduit, there has to be some type of financial relationship between the library and the municipality, okay? And that financial arrangement could be as small as $500, okay? So I don't know what the borough has or doesn't have in the budget.
Could that be that has to be for the project itself, the grant itself, or,
No, just in a mere support.
But I mean, in the past, we just, we
Yeah,
have
it
a
was
budget, right?
last year was 750.
Yeah, I think we have a budget again, right?
And all donations at the meeting.
No, we don't.
Okay, and I spoke to Colleen too. I said that's not a deal breaker for them, because we can then go over to the county, because the county does it through their, has a library tax. for that, Mayor. Okay?
It has to come from the borough, can't be donated?
It has to come from the borough fund.
You got it correct.
It has to be on the borough budget because we have to submit proof that we receive appropriations from the borough.
Okay.
That could be from last year.
I'm checking on that to find out if it can be from last year or if it also has to be this year.
Could council just donate it out of their paycheck to make it the $500 to cover it so we can move forward with the grant for the library?
I can cross the Ts and dot the Is, Mayor, with the Keystone people, just to make sure. So I just don't want them to be in jeopardy of a small thing.
Would you guys be all right with that? If that's what we got to move forward? Okay.
The grant is due at the end of March. So I don't think you guys have this on as a resolution for this evening. So if you would like to, place a resolution on there, under the assumption that if indeed that the municipality does financially bind it in a manner that's acceptable to DCD, and if not, we would step back and then apply through the accounting. Okay.
So you make a motion to apply for the Keystone grant, then?
Correct. It would be, once again, the municipality would be the conduit or the support for the Keystone grant on behalf of the Wyoming Library. At a no-cost basis, of course. And then, obviously, there has to be, well, there's work some language in there for some type of, there has to be some type of financial binding, that the mayor had talked about.
Question for you. Being that that one grant, the $500,000 that we have to put $300 up for, which would put us sort of tight out of the sewer fund as we stand. If we have, I think you said until what, 6 of 20 to decide on that? Am I correct, or is that a different, am I mixing up the grant?
No, that was, correct, Mayor.
So is that something that we should be doing right now, or should we be waiting to, do we need to have a little bit more of a buffer in that account to cover anything like Jim R's, sewers? I mean, if we were to cut
On
ourselves
Wyoming
that
Ave,
close.
they're pretty bad in the sections that Daryl did. The only thing we gotta watch is Daryl PennDOT's coming through when to repave the Ave.
Sometime again this year.
That's gonna be the
We're
issue.
trying
At
to-
the end of this year?
Yeah, we're gonna try to have them put it off till next year, so we can.
They had a 5-year plan, and that was a while ago,
Okay.
but that's where it's gonna get you.
I know you're cutting it tight with your funds, I know you really are.
Okay.
So, and then, well, if the bids come in, we can shorten the project, we don't have to go from 8 to 1st, we can go from 8 to 2nd, or something, it all depends.
So they could do it by block so we can see where we land?
Right,
Okay.
Yeah, but the problem is between first and second, so I think you should come down this.
yeah, and between 7th, there's a problem.
Yeah, 7th,
I understand.
yeah.
Wait a second, I thought, but is the mayor wrong on the date? I thought you said that it expires on June 30th of 2020.
He's just saying that PennDOT's gonna pay the Ave, so they wanna do the sewers before, instead of having to cut up the new pavement. Now, how much money do we still, Roseanne, are we paid up in our sewer fund with what we owe it from all the money we've taken? So
That was going to be worked into the 2020,
So how much money is still owed to the sewer from all the other ones?
100 and some thousand, 150,000, I believe.
So that would put us back up to at least 350 in the reservoir once we got that money back.
Well, you gotta remember, Mayor, that, I mean, yes, the municipality needs to repay it, but it needs to figure out the repayment schedule to put it back in, so.
I think,
Well, most likely that $100,000 is going to take a little bit of time to build back in. It won't all be going in one year.
no, there'll be more coming in than just the $50 that the residents are paying, because if you set up a payment program, I mean, that money never should have came out, but if we set up a payment program, at least we'll be getting it back in that the residents paid for sewer money. Okay.
So let's go back to the library grant for a second. You're asking for what again, Chris? You would need, what would we need to see?
Need a resolution
Okay.
that approves act as a conduit, supporting agent for the Wyoming Library, through the Keystone Facilities Grant.
And even if we're not, you're asking to do that even if we're not I guess, a financial contributor at this time?
Correct, just as I think it's gonna be easier and quicker to go through you guys, as of right now, if not, as a backup plan, we would just jump over to common.
And when did you say you're gonna find out? if
I
they-
just sent, after I talked to Chris this evening, I sent an email to the person at the Keystone Grant to ask him if they can accept last year's appropriation or if they need this year's as well. So hopefully he'll respond tomorrow.
Okay.
I think it's time to launch because the application's due March.
Yeah, April 26th.
What's April?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, April, okay. I thought it was March, I'm sorry.
Okay. And Mayor, you were asking if $500 can be donated from,
I'm asking the council to be willing to do that if we have to come up with $500.
okay. So do you, if the deadline's not until April, do you need the resolution?
No, I was pushing because I thought it was in March, so we could actually wait.
Okay.
And then if all goes well with the answer on that, we can come back in March and then seek it from there.
Okay. Outside the resolution, what else would you need from us in order to proceed forward? Okay.
And you guys are pretty, you guys have
There,
financials?
well, let me check. So, you want the resolution, there's, well, this is, you can help me with this,
Okay. There's two other attachments that they have to have, a zoning approval, from that perspective. So really that's, you know, are you doing anything next year?
No, what they told us.
Okay.
That wouldn't come before this body, that would go, you need to submit that to the zoning officer.
And then the environmental impact.
That's just whether or not the work done would have any impact on the environment. It wouldn't be, but.
I think we get that through.
Or would you get that from the borough's engineer?
We can do either. We can get it from, borough engineer or the county.
Is that something that Prime Minister would do?
I don't know what we need. What do you-
Environmental impact, does it impact, the surroundings? I think this comes from the county.
Yeah, they'll come to the county. But if we can help in any way, we'll help if we.
I'll get that. I'll go straight to that.
Thank you.
Will you email me a resolution that you're looking for so we can put it on the agenda?
The next thing was the Little League, which you guys have already touched on. We're gonna, it's been a little bit of a drawn-out process with them, believe it or not, because they have such a, the grant is small, but all of the grant limitations apply to them as well too. So it's tough getting going with this. Well, the only thing I wanted to look at was, I saw the cooperation agreement, you guys got something? How about the bidding procedures? I know Shannon had looked at that once before. I just wanted to make sure that you're on the same page with it as well.
Yep.
Okay.
So you want something different than what Shannon provided you?
No, just since you're turned up right now, why don't we just, you can just drop down your letterhead
Okay.
and take it from there. So I think they're seeking $1,300 reimbursement for Roseanne. And we'll, 1,300, yeah, and we'll fill out that for you. And just, they typically only, DCD only wants one reimbursement per month. Okay.
So let's, hold on that. So before we go on the bidding procedure, then we need to execute the contract,
The cooperation.
cooperation agreement, and you need the bidding procedure letter.
If you're okay, with just so I can have it for my file, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
With Shannon, anyways.
Okay, so do we have, in order to do the resolution to accept are you asking for us to do a resolution to accept the reimbursement, like an exact figure, or?
I think that we should do all these grants, reimbursements through resolutions,
Okay,
just so everybody's all on the same page, with the money coming in and out.
so do you have an exact figure for them? Is that in the minute? Is that on the agenda, or is it?
I didn't have the exact figure, I just did put it on there for the approval of the irrigation process. He was supposed to, when you got the cooperation agreement, wasn't signed yet.
Yep.
It's definitely, I know it's
But we just got it
$1,300.
now. I have it now, but
Well, in order to, so what's the exact?
he did this to me.
$1,300.
1,300 exactly.
And the vendor is Northeast Waterworks. So just so everybody understands the process with the LSAs, there's a form where we'll fill it out, send it out to DCD. DCD will review it, and we follow up on some questions. And then from there, I think we're gonna have the funds sent paper.
Yes, please.
And then, so that, they typically take 3 to 4 weeks, or depending upon their schedule. And then upon receipt of that goes in, you can obviously then issue a check.
Charge it and then issue it.
So same process that would happen over on, I'm calling Daryl's project. The next grant that you guys should start be thinking about is your, what I'm gonna call the 2019, 2020. And this is your, we'll call the annual CDBG allocation.
What?
CDBG.
Chris, before you get into this, quick question.
Sure.
I think we've touched on it in the past. If we don't have our 17 audit done, have they started our 17 audit yet?
No.
No. So does that affect us applying for any of these grants?
Just looking down at the grants,
Because our last audit is 16.
not on the LSA. No, none of them as of right now, because I've been submitting grants for you guys. You guys are actually catching up, believe it or not. And I've been submitting older statements before, so none of the grants that I'm working on right now will impact you.
Okay.
But you should, obviously, the more current, the better. Okay? Because it's a question they have every single time, is there current financial statements? The CDBG, these are funds that come down from the federal government down to, in this instance, the county. And then the county allocates them out to designated communities. And you are one designated community for this one. Okay. And Darrell, the amount of funds they receive is around 100 to 200.
150,000.
150,000.
Just that someone from council, and working with Jim, will have to pick out what streets we do. That's in that, Mayor, remember that map with the yellow area? It would have to be in that area.
And there's no, well, you could submit a plan to get out of that area that we talked about, correct? So that we can get some
Right,
of
we
these
have to do
streets.
an income survey of everybody on that street. Jim's familiar with that.
Yeah, we've done them before.
I think we need to do that, because that shadowed area, I mean, the streets
It's very
outside of Meadow
limited,
Woods
yeah.
So if we have to do an income approach to get some of these other streets paid, I think that's something we need to do.
I would do that as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes a little while.
Yeah, it takes a good while.
I strongly advise you guys too, to, start to put together a capital plan, for streets, sewer, stuff like that. Even though at the end of the day, I know that the amount of projects that you're gonna be able to get done is not gonna be anywhere near what we can get done. But you have no idea if grants come up, other funds come up, we'll be ready to attack it at that point in time. Okay. Also, LSAs, since sewer is such a big need right here, I strongly advise you it's not until the end of the year, but by October, we should be looking at submitting an application, if indeed you guys want to do another sewer, or whatever the need is at that point in time.
And that would be 100% funded?
Yes, yeah, LSAs are no match components. Now, the last grant, I just want to make you aware of, it's called the Greenways Trails. It's due May 31st. Exactly what it is, it's for trails, more of the green aspect of everything. It could be for playgrounds, and it's playgrounds to a certain degree. And I'll send you the components, what you can and can't do with it. There's a 15% match, but you can often use the appraised value of the land associated. So if you get into it at a no-cost perspective, and if you do have a project, it's something I advise you to look at. So I'll email you the guidelines. You guys can take a look at it. You guys know your municipality better than I do. So if you guys do think it's something you guys want to do, you guys should run with it. This, right here. These projects involve renovation, development of linear public facilities such as bicycle, walking, equestrian, snowmobile, nature trails, passive recreation areas, riparian forest buffers, wetland boardwalks, observation desks. Related support facilities include access roads, parking areas, walks, pumper station, lighting, landscaping, and signage are also available. Greenways are areas of land and or water which provide linear recreation, conservation, or open space corridor along a natural or man-made feature. Okay, so it's broad. So I'll send it to you, think about it, and take it from there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. That's it, I have in mind, unless anybody has any questions.
So, just to revise, you guys, you may want to consider if someone's going to be a point person on some of this activity and who that would be.
You have a grant committee.
Did you have a grant committee? Is it, when was the last time we met? So you know, there's not a grant committee?
Joe, John, and Frank.
Yeah, well, we'll have to have a little session about it, and we're done, thank you.
And Chris?
Well,
Robert World Council meeting for February 1928, comes to the sanitation county of our country recites the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Mr. Stephen Alawago. Mr. Frank Burke. Mr. Michael Malota. Mr. John Lipsky.
Present.
Mrs. Diane Smile. Here. Mr. Joseph Schultz.
Here.
Attorney Mark Anderson.
Present.
And Mayor Joseph Butler.
Here.
Thank you. The minutes for January 2019 meeting are available for review at the post order office. Any motion? Mr. Beloga, seconded by
I'll second.
Mr. Schultz. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it, so moved. Reports of the Police Department, Street Commissioner, and Code Enforcing Officer for the month of January 2019 have been submitted and placed on file for public inspection. Administration, Finance and Grants, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A motion will be made to approve round number 1 for Charles Black Little League irrigation system. A motion will be made to approve Roseanne Russo to seek RFPs for engineering services for county office and community development grant. A motion will be made to approve Roseanne Russo to pay monthly recurring bills by web bill pay. This service offered by Fidelity Bank is free to the borough and will save on the cost of check stamps available. Report TAN note, funds were received and delinquent bills have been satisfied, reviewing the current vendors and services the borough utilizes, looking to cut costs on unnecessary services. Current findings and saving, Comcast reduced costs by $1,500 annually, Verizon reduced costs by $480 annually, and Reeves Benajon reduced costs by $477.50. We'll be seeking RFPs for the upcoming months for expiring contracts. And the EIP process has started, meetings will be taking place with the department supervisors and Frank Williamson from Arrow this week. Roseanne Colarusso met with Lynn Schaefer to discuss the process of the EIP. That's in the report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz.
We're also going to be making a motion to approve the cooperation agreement, or execute the cooperation agreement with the Little League, so that the first draw can occur.
Thank you. Emergency Service, Police and Fire Department, Mrs. Smiles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A motion will be made to approve hiring 3 part-time officers, police officers, on an as-needed basis. A motion will also be made to accept the resignation of Fire Chief Tom Scalanger of Hose Company Number 1. And a motion will be made to appoint a new fire chief for Hose Company Number 1. And that is my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Smiles. Health and Sanitation, Mr. Yurley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion will be made to approve paper shred event for September 12, 2019, to be held at Pettigo Park on Monument Avenue from 4 to 7 p.m. Report the trash discount period ended on February 6th. Face period February 7th through May 15th, $200. Senior discount period December 19th through May 15th, $190. Late period. Payment made after May 15th, $250, no exceptions. Vacant properties are not exempt from the garbage fee. That's the end of my report, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Yurley. Personnel, Mr. Litsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A motion will be made to appoint Mary Sobel as Borough Secretary, Treasurer, effective March 1st. The position will pay an annual salary of $5,000, which will be paid on a monthly basis. A motion will be made to appoint Roseanne Colarusso as the Borough Manager. And just a report, the Borough is taking part in the Mature Aging Work Program. Brenda Keeney and Kenneth Burke will be performing the clerk duties for the Borough. Brenda and Kenneth will be working 15 hours each week and are funded thoroughly through the Mature Aging Work Program. That's the end of my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Litsky. Public Property, Mr. Yurley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's no report.
Thank you, Mr. Yurley. Street Citizen Public Works, Mr. Yurley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A motion will be made to allow Brian Weber to use of Pettigo Park for a birthday party on Saturday, July 20th, and allow him to place a tent on the premises. Brian Weber has sent a letter stating he will resume full responsibility for the tent that will be placed on the borough's property. Also, Mr. Chairman, a motion will be made to approve Jamie D. Burke of 538 Monument Avenue to have handicapped parking sign installed in front of his home. Mr. Burke is responsible to pay the cost of the sign. And the report is, Mr. Chairman, the council would like to thank Jimmy Tragan for donating leaf/grass vacuum attachment for the tractor to the borough. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, James.
Zoning and planning, Mr. Bogan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no report tonight. The only thing I would have to say is to make sure that when people do work on their house, that they get permits. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Bogan. Solicitor's report?
The only thing I have to raise is, as we've talked about, the contract with West Wyoming has been terminated. It will end effective April 24, 2019. In the past, we discussed potentially modifying that to continue the service to Wyoming. If anyone's interested, or if this council is interested in allowing me to enter into negotiations, please let me know. We need that in the form of a motion. Otherwise, the contract will be terminated on April 24th.
Thank you. Mayor's report?
The police department responded to 195 incidents this month of January, and also I just want to give you guys an update. The KB Guilford property, I know it's been dragging out a little bit. The department did everything on our end. I did talk to the contractor. The property owner did supply the contractor who's going to be demoing it with their down payment. They're just waiting on DEP to come in and approve the demo because there's concerns of asbestos and other hazardous stuff. So as soon as they get DEP approval, they've already been paid their down payment. They're ready to knock it down. So hopefully that's the next thing.
Thank you, Joe.
Yep.
Floor open now to the public. Pat Scalanger.
I have a question. Who's in charge of the police department? And, I mean, I know you're in charge of the police department, but amongst the officers, is there one person that kind of takes over?
Officer in charge is Max McGurk.
Okay, I know you weren't here last month, you were sick.
Yes.
Did you read the minutes from last month's meeting?
I did not. I watched the video on YouTube.
Oh,
The
okay.
meeting minutes were approved today, so I will be
Okay,
reading.
then you saw the one resident that got up and she discussed about the stops, school bus up here?
Wasn't that the meeting before that I wasn't?
No,
No?
it was last month.
Okay, I remember the one discussion about this out here.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, but it is out here by the gingerbread house.
Okay,
And when she got done, council told her that she had to talk to the mayor, he's the one that's in charge of the police.
yes.
I want to know why Officer McGurk stood in the back, and as far as I know, he had no conversation with her after the council meeting.
So I think there might be some misunderstanding. So let me get this straight. So the question was about the location of a bus stop?
No, my question is, if Officer McGurk is kind of, like, I'll say in charge,
Okay.
and being he was standing here, and she was presenting her problem,
Okay.
why he didn't talk to her about it, or at least give her some advice.
Okay. Is Max back there? Max, would you like to answer that? I'm sorry, again, I wasn't here. I did
To be
watch.
honest with you, she never approached me after the meeting.
Oh, I know she didn't. But if you're supposed to be, I'll say in charge, why didn't you feel you should have went up to her and talked to her? And gave her some type of, I don't know, a feeling, console her, something.
To be honest with you, the police department currently is doing everything they can to monitor the bus stop with the resources we have available when applicable. If we have an officer available to watch the bus stops, we have an officer watching the bus stop. But if we're on a call, then the officer can't respond to the bus stop because he can't be expected to wait at the bus stop when he has other jobs that he has to perform.
Okay,
We usually only have one officer on duty at a time, ma'am, so that's.
I know that, and I understand that. But as a resident here who pays taxes, I felt you should have at least talked to her.
Well, if she wanted to speak to me, she could have spoken to me. I was here.
Well, I'm sorry, you're the officer. You should have went up to her.
Thank you, Ms. Scalanger. Chris, I guess you're done. Danny Zavala?
Yes, as most of the
Borough Council, Mayor, you guys know me, I've been your fire chief or the assistant chief of this borough for the last 18 consecutive years. Recently, we had a fire chief here resign. My question is, why wasn't I notified by anybody? I heard about this on the street, rumors. And I called Joe a day or two later. But if a fire chief or somebody in this position resigns for whatever reason, I think I should be notified. Is anybody?
Danny, I can't give you an answer on that, I'll be honest with you.
I would assume that would come from the EMS committee, right? I sent a letter to everybody. He submitted his resignation to everybody.
I got a letter here, but there's no date on it, I think, Danny.
Yeah, I didn't get anything. Like I said, I heard it on the street through rumors. That's when I called you to verify. Now that he is resigned, does it go back, fire chief, back to our station?
No.
Okay. I'm not talking to you, Jerry. I'm talking to council. Does this mean that you guys are gonna appoint the current chief from Wyoming #1 station?
Council's gonna vote. I mean, who?
There's a name of Jones brought up.
Right, he is not station chief. He is not the fire chief of Wyoming #1. It's always been.
From anywhere, it doesn't
Dan.
matter.
Why
Hold on, there, please, hold on.
Here's
We
what
got
I-
a man
here's-
talking here.
I just want to
Dan,
know.
when you and I had a conversation about this too, you would raise this concern. And I said I would reach out and see if that's internal, host company #1 could decide whoever their chief is on their time. And I asked you, correct me if I'm wrong, is there anything in writing that says the borough chief has to be the chief of that department?
Not that I know of, no.
So what's the issue?
Well, the issue is, I had for the last 18 years, before that, I was Old Man Cupster from #1 and Pascucci. It's always been station chiefs.
Okay.
I just want to know, if we're going to appoint somebody else, why are we taking that as sequence here?
Well, I think now again,
I mean, I have no problem to it rotating or going back to #1. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay,
So my
so,
problem is, I want it to be a station chief or somebody who I think is qualified.
yeah, but you just said your own statement that there's nothing in writing that states it has to be. So to clear the situation anyway, we accepted a resignation. It's up to host company #1, whoever they want to put their chief of host company #1. The borough voted at the meeting last month to move the borough fire chief to host company #1
Correct.
for 2 years.
Correct.
So whoever host company #1 recommends to be their borough fire chief, that's up to, whoever they want to be their fire chief could be their borough fire chief.
And doesn't that concern you, having somebody who's not a chief or qualified as a chief?
Well, the person that they presented is the deputy chief.
I don't think they would appoint someone that's
You
not
can't say he's
qualified.
not qualified.
They would not.
No, I have nothing against AJ Jones. He's a good
You
kid.
don't want to like.
Dan, he's
This
their
isn't like
deputy
the-
chief.
This isn't the format for that. I mean, he is qualified. He's from Wyoming, too.
That's fine. I have no problem with that.
So like, I'm glad that you came up. You did great for the community, and you're doing a great job over in host company #2. I don't think anybody has any complaints about it. And so,
I just,
I don't want you to berate our residents. That's all.
no,
No.
be great. I've risked my life run in for any one of these people here. Now, my concern is,
Okay.
if you're gonna have somebody as borough chief who's 21, 22 years old, now again, I have nothing against AJ Jones. I think he's a great fireman. I think someday he's gonna make a great chief. But if we have a major fire, you have towns from 44, Kingston, West Wyoming, Jenkins, does he have the experience to know if the building's gonna flash, if there's a collapse potential?
Well, I think
You're gonna
the
have
purpose
towns,
of a
other
borough
towns
chief,
coming in, and they're looking to that chief, what are my orders? If he's not experienced, he's putting people's lives at risk.
so age is what requires experience now in your view?
Not age, experience.
Okay.
I mean, I run with multiple departments.
Well, I trust in the fact that host company #1 and host company #2, their members would put forth their best person. I applaud you, host company number 2 put you as their best person to have that responsibility. And I applaud number 1 for putting AJ Jones as their best person to have that accountability. And I would trust in our departments to do the right thing and point the right person. They're not just gonna pick someone out of a hat. So if AJ Jones is who they choose to give us, and it's gonna stay in host company number 1, AJ Jones it is.
Now, in that sentence there, that's fine, but then I believe AJ Jones should be station chief of number 1.
But that has nothing to do with you as the station chief of number 2. Whoever, like we said, the ordinance, and I asked you straight up on the phone and just now, it's gonna be a moot point in a minute, but it doesn't matter who they appoint. If that's the person they confide in and have their faith in to be the borough fire chief, and that's who they want to put forward to replace Mr. Squandra after he resigned, and that's who they appoint. It's host company number 1's turn, and it's their decision to put their right guy up. And if they want to appoint their deputy chief as that position, then that's their choice. And we're going to respect that as a council, I would hope.
Okay. Just one other question. Maybe I missed it. In January of 2016, I believe it was, after Wyoming number 1 lost their engine, their ambulance, their rescue, the building, due to back taxes, Borough took all fire command off of number 1. I just want to know what meeting was it that you guys reinstated that?
There was reinstated at one of the meetings.
All right.
I'm not sure which one it was. I remember it was one of the meetings.
All right, so I remember it was taken away, I just don't remember hearing when it was
I'm
reinstated.
not even sure if it was
Thank
taken
you.
away, but I'm not, I don't know if it was taken away officially. But I do remember.
Suspended or
Right.
Right.
Whatever. I mean, you can't blame these people.
No, I'm just wondering.
This
was
is
that
not,
person about all that?
the borough manager will look back through the minutes and hopefully at next meeting we'll have an answer.
All right, I had a question too, actually, regarding that percent. I know it's more work for you, I know you don't need to do it, but at the last meeting, when I believe you have the minutes, how was that last meeting read? And they changed it?
They're sitting right here.
Yeah, let me read it. Right. A motion will be made to alternate every 2 years from,
Between the departments.
yeah, well, in the video, when you watch the video, it says as was prior policy. I was just wondering when that policy changed too, if that was ever voted on, or how that policy changed, where it stopped going every 2 years.
It stopped when they had their fallout.
So was that
They didn't
something
have-
happened at a public meeting too, when that policy was changed?
No, nothing that I know of.
Number 1 went defunct.
They didn't have, all they had were a handful of firefighters. They didn't have any.
defunct. Defunct means you closed, we never closed.
Well, you went defunct, you lost everything.
You lose everything. And the borough continued to recognize the fire department.
So if that's the case, then that's my question. There said there was a policy change, I'm just curious if it was ever in the meeting minutes. While we're looking one up, we should probably look at both of them.
Because it used to be before that, Tupsh and I used to rotate every 3 years. Then they switched it to every 2 years.
So that was a policy change too, so that should be in there
It
somewhere.
went from 3 years down to 2 years.
Okay.
But when they had to get regrouped, and they didn't have people, I just stayed in there till things got straightened up or they got on their feet.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Zabala.
Thank you.
Ryan Weber?
Thank you all. On a lighter note, I just wanted to say thank you for taking into consideration for my wife and I and our young daughter for her first birthday. We moved to East Pettibone Street about 2.5 years ago, and the reason why was that park. So seeing it there, we thought it was something we could do something. Here we are with our family, and I appreciate the consideration. And just, some people said, "Oh, just go ahead and do it." Better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Like, no, we're gonna do things the right way, and just put it onto the channel. So that's all I want to say. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations on your daughter's birthday.
Thank you very much.
The list of communications received since the last meeting have been sent to council. Need a motion to accept that as is. Mr. Beloga. Seconded by Mrs. Miles. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. A list of bills paid and received for payments has been presented to council, and accept the motion by Mr. Urick, seconded by Mrs. Smiles. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. A motion is made to draw number one for Blackfield Little League irrigation system.
Before you do that, you have to make a motion to approve execute the cooperation agreement with the Little League.
To execute the process with the Little League.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Urick, seconded by Mr. Bolger.
So just to be clear, you're making a motion to execute the cooperation agreement with the Little League for the,
Irrigation.
no, it's for the
whole thing.
the grant
Yeah.
administration.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it, so moved. A motion is to be made to approve Roseanne Calaruso to seek RFP for engineering service for the county office of community development grant. Mrs. Miles,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Stalls. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. A motion is made to approve Roseanne Calaruso to pay the monthly recurrent bills through web pay, world bill pay, which is at no cost to the borough and will save the annual savings of over $1,000 on stamps, so forth, and so on.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Urick,
I'll second that.
seconded by Mr. Bologna.
Lipsky.
No,
Mr. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you, John. Okay. Yes, we did.
We had to stop.
Okay, last one.
Last time we called him.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it, so moved.
Yeah, no, we don't.
Okay. Motion made to approve draw one for Blackfield Little League irrigation system.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Urick, seconded by
I'll second.
Mr. Scalz. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. A motion is made to approve the hiring of 3 part-time police officers as a needed basis.
Part-time officers are Leonard Lombardo, Andrew Jones, and Kevin Walkowiak. That's
Walkowiak.
Walkoviak.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Bologna. Seconded by Mr. Urick. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. A motion is made to accept the resignation of Fire Chief Tom Scalons of Host Company Number 1. Is there a motion?
That's the first.
As Borough Chief.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Bologna.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Scalz. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it, so moved. A motion is made to appoint Mr. Jones for Fire Chief for the Borough of Wyoming. Is it number 1 and the Borough of this?
No.
It'll have to be for the borough chief,
We were
but
at,
we have to hold off on it. Or did they already vote on that motion?
Yeah, we can't because they have
So we have to hold off on that till we,
No, we don't have to.
They can appoint anybody they want. You don't have to hold off on it.
but they said they had to vote on it first.
That's for their internal fire. We are appointing a borough fire chief.
All right, Mr. Jones.
is Hose Company Number 1 asking us to appoint A.J. Jones as the Borough Fire Chief on behalf
Yes.
of Hose Company Number 1? So the question is, does this council want to make a motion to appoint A.J. Jones as the Borough Fire Chief and representative of Hose Company Number 1?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Mr. Beloga,
Did you get that motion?
and Mr. Schultz.
Motion to
Point H8,
appoint
Joan,
as new
Borough
fire
chief.
chief.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it, so moved. Motion made to approve the paper shredding event for September the 12th, 2019, to be held at Pettibone Park on Monument Avenue from 7 till 9 p.m.
4 to 7.
Is that gonna be at Pettibone or down a little later?
Pettibone, but,
Yeah, it's a more central area. Last year when we were down Black Field, we didn't get that huge of a turnout, so we're gonna try to go in park this year.
and they can go.
Yeah, they can go around it.
Thank you. September the 12th, 2019, to be held at Pettibone Park on Monument Street from 4 to 7 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Eric. Second by Mr. Beloga. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. The motion be made to appoint Mary Strobel as Borough Secretary Treasurer effective March 1st. The position will pay an annual salary of $5,000 to be paid monthly. Mrs. Smiles?
I will second that.
Thank you, John. Second by John. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it, so moved. A motion be made to appoint Roseanne Calaruso as Borough Manager.
I'll make that motion.
Oh, too many here, we got. Mr. Yurick, and seconded by Mr. Beloga. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved.
You need to amend that. The motion to appoint Roseanne Calaruso as the borough manager at a salary of $35,000 a year.
Motion, that's already approved. A motion is to be made to appoint Roseanne Calaruso as Borough Manager at $35,000 a year, and that's been approved already.
But you need to re-vote on that.
We did.
You didn't get the salary.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Yurick, seconded by
I'll second it.
Mr. Lipsky. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays, ayes have it, so moved. A motion be made to allow Brian Weber to use Pettibone Park for a birthday party on Saturday, July 20th, and to place a tent on the premises. Brian Weber will send a letter, he already sent a letter, that he really will take full responsibilities and it will be placed on borough property. We need
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Beloga,
I'll second.
Mr. Sculls. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nays, ayes have it, so moved. We have a motion to approve Jimmy Burke, 537 Monument Avenue, to have a handicap sign placed in front of his home, 538. Mr. Burke will be paying for the cost of the sign. Mr. Yurick,
I'll second.
Mr. Beloga. All in favor, signify by saying aye. A motion is made to have Keystone Grant on behalf of the Wyoming Library at no cost to the borough.
That's not going to be made for.
Nothing to be made? I thought we were going to make that, okay.
There is answers on funding, and we have a time to make it at necessary.
Was there any unfinished business?
No, I think
Need a motion to adjourn? Mr. or Mr. Eric, thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, people, for your